Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Impact and Coffee for February 8th, 2022. I can't believe that we're already in February. It's crazy. Oh my gosh. I'm Robert Nelson. I use he, him pronouns. I'm with Pivotal New Mexico. I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, co-host Michael Green this morning. How are you, Michael? Good morning.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Hello, Robert. Yeah, I'm doing well. Another beautiful day. Glad we had some winter weather last week, but kind of excited for a little bit of a warm up too. So I'm Michael Green. I'm a co-host for Impact and Coffee, and I'm also my day job. I'm a program coordinator for the New Mexico Farmers Marketing Association. So here at Impact and Coffee, let me tell you a little bit about what it is. Impact and Coffee is an open, welcoming conversation to exchange stories and ideas to foster innovation, to strengthen the nonprofit sector, and to build community. So that's a fancy way of saying that we're a nonprofit meetup. We meet 3 times a week, first 3 Tuesdays of the month, 9 to 10. A big special thanks to the Albuquerque Community Foundation, who pre-pandemic, they would let us use their conference room for having this. So we do miss our in-person connections with you all, but hopefully sometime soon we'll get back to that. And also a special thanks to Lily Marie's Coffee for supplying the coffee when we were meeting in person. So again, we can do that soon. So Tuesdays are also Gratitude Tuesdays. So we always like to start by talking about, some positive things. So I would encourage you all to introduce yourselves in the chat and also put something you're grateful for. In the meantime, Robert, what are you grateful for today?
I'm grateful for sleeping in.
Must be nice.
I know. We were talking about that earlier before everyone jumped on the call, and I was just thinking to myself, man, I slept until about 8 o'clock this morning, and I usually get up around 7-ish. But I was telling Michael, yes, sleep. Enjoy your sleep, folks. We are entering the third year of a pandemic. We're entering the third year of a pandemic. So enjoy your sleep, get some rest, care for yourselves, do as much as you can to love yourself as much as possible. And I'm also just grateful for all of our folks who are joining us here this morning. And I'm grateful for this very special kind of thing we're doing this morning. Michael, do you want to talk a little bit about that, or do you want to go into announcements first?
We can start with the announcements.
Okay. Actually, this is we do have I guess the one announcement is our Next Gen Award, which is our small mini grant for organizations building capacity for the work they're doing with youth under the age of 25. And this morning, our presenter is from the Food Depot, which is a recipient of the Next Gen Award. And so we're happy actually just to kick this off. Usually before the pandemic, we had this, big check kind of ceremony, but we have that virtually today. So I'm going to introduce Lisa Goodman from P&M. Lisa, thank you so much for joining us. How are you today? And I'm going to replace the spotlight.
Thank you. I'm wonderful today. You talked about things that you're grateful for, and honestly, I can't say this enough. In my daily grind of my regular day job, I have some positive little spots of sunlight and bursts of things that make my heart happy when I tie in here to my role with the P&M Resources Foundation and the P&M Fund. So I'm really happy to be joining you guys this morning. Let me tell you just a little bit about the P&M Resources Foundation and what we're focused on. We made a 3-year commitment to fund areas of need in New Mexico, such as homelessness, community safety, affordable housing, and the environment. We've also been focusing on collaborative grants to help inspire youth and nonprofits, and that's where we're really excited about continuing the Next Gen grants and why I'm so happy to be here today. So you can see we do have the big check, if I can get my camera here. Sorry, it's not in person, but Mary, have you ever seen your name on such a giant check?
No, I haven't. Thank you so much.
No, I want to congratulate you on earning the award. And for those of you that don't, that aren't as familiar with the Next Gen and we're acknowledging the next generation of innovators and really focusing on the great work that Mary and others like Mary are doing, and the wonderful things you're doing for our nonprofit community, both now and in the future. So congratulations and thank you.
Thanks, Lisa. Big, huge round of applause for Mary over at the Food Depot. We really appreciate all your work. I'm going to go ahead and spotlight you, and also spotlight Billy too. And we're just going to shift over to our presentations today. So this morning we have a special guest today. We are so glad to hear from the Food Depot and a lot of the work that they're doing up north. And so please give a warm welcome for Mary and Billy. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Hello, thank you so much. Let's go ahead and start. So my name is Mary Ocampo, and we will present to you all about Food for Kids school-based pantries. I am the Next Gen recipient, as well as the C Corps AmeriCorps member serving with the Food Depot. I moved to Santa Fe last fall from San Diego, California, and started my role here with the Food Depot in September 2021. All throughout high school and college, I've been involved in organizations focused in community service. So coming to Santa Fe, I wanted to be involved in a role that would allow me the opportunity to learn and be immersed in my new environment. By serving in this role as an AmeriCorps member, I'm able to connect to many people and learn different roles in an organization. I'm involved in a wide variety of programs within the Food Depot that help serve in Santa Fe and the northern New Mexico region. All of the roles I'm a part of advocate for people facing hunger. This grant will help support the resources needed for the Food for Kids school-based pantry program expansion into Rio Arriba County. So why are we here? We're here because we value equity. One of the programs that I'm heavily involved in at the Food Depot is the Food Mobile. It is a refurbished library bus that is now able to carry frozen, cold, and shelf-stable food items. The team takes this bus to different locations in Santa Fe County to distribute food to residents, community members, and the public during midday. It is a great program. However, in terms of meeting the needs for the entire community, it doesn't meet the needs for the working class and students. School-based pantries will bridge the gap of providing resources to students and their families. It is a one-stop shop for parents or guardians to pick up their children and their groceries. School-based pantry is an effective and efficient way to serve students and families, and it's an unmet need within Rio Arriba County. Thank you for allowing us the opportunity to help serve families in Rio Arriba County and granting me this opportunity to help develop professionally within the Food Depot. So the overview of our presentation will include an introduction of the program team, an overview of the Food Depot, Food for Kids, and School-Based Pantry program. We will talk about the vision and goal for expanding in Rio Arriba County and what we have done and what we want to complete, as well as time for any questions. The members of the program team, we have Billy Secular, who's the program coordinator, and Liana McClure, the program manager. So Billy has given me guidance on how school-based pantries within the Santa Fe County region work, as well as inviting me to several pantries that are up and successfully running. Liana has connected our team with community members in Rio Arriba County that will help our vision become a reality. With the help and support of Billy and Liana, we will be able to expand the school-based pantries in Rio Arriba County. Liana was intending to come today, but she did have a family emergency. But Billy will now tell us about the Food Depot.
All right, good morning. Good to see some familiar faces on here, as well as some new faces. It's nice to meet everyone. As Mary said, I am the programs coordinator, and I've been with the Food Depot for a little over a year now. And one of the first projects I got to dig my feet into is the school-based pantry. So this is very near and dear to my heart. To start out, what is the Food Depot? The Food Depot is a partner distribution organization of Feeding America, which is a nationwide network of food banks throughout the nation, serving all 50 states. The Food Depot gets local and national product, donor support in our efforts to end hunger. This includes manufacturers, distributors, grocery stores, restaurants, hotels, produce vendors, farms, and other food service establishments. Basically, we get a lot of food from a lot of different places, help reduce food waste, and distribute it to all of the people who may want and need it. So our vision at the Food Depot is simple. It's healthy, hunger-free communities in northern New Mexico. It's a huge undertaking. 50% of our operations support 81 nonprofit organizations and 140 locations. Basically, we provide the food, we acquire the food and then provide the food to other organizations, nonprofits in town, one of them being Communities in Schools, which we'll be learning about in a moment. And then we also, during the pandemic, shifted to having 50% of our operations be direct service. So that's new for the Food Depot, and that was very much brought on by the pandemic, where we were operating programs such as the Food Mobile, Food Depot Pantries, Kids Kitchen, and school-based pantries. Yeah, the pandemic was a pivotal moment to change our operations. And at the Food Depot, we've got some major values: collaboration, equity, stewardship, compassion, integrity, visionary, and continuous learning. Now, we highlighted equity because that's one of the values that we've seen needing to be improved during through the duration of these last couple of months. We have 9 counties in our service area. I'll go back to this slide. Where we serve Colfax, Harding, Los Alamos, Mora, Rio Arriba, San Miguel, Santa Fe, Taos, and Union. So 9 counties in our service area. And we saw that we had school-based pantries, mainly in Santa Fe County. And because of equity, which is fairness and justice in the way that people are treated, and making sure that we are providing resources to all of the counties within our service area, we wanted to be sure to provide school-based pantries outside of just Santa Fe County. So here we have a list of the school-based pantries that we're currently operating. The ones in Santa Fe County are partially funded by Communities in Schools, so we have funding for those, but we've been looking to acquire funding for school-based pantries outside of Santa Fe County. And on this map, we see that we have one in Espanola currently. It's at Carlos Vijo Middle School. So I'll pass it over to Mary to talk a little bit about the hunger.
Okay, so a comparison of data regarding hunger in both Rio Arriba County and Santa Fe. And this data was compiled between 2019 and 2020. And you can see that there's a higher percentage of food insecure people in Rio Arriba County, especially within the children compared to Santa Fe. And so while the population is lower in Rio Arriba County, the amount of people living in poverty and experiencing hunger is a lot higher. So this just helps show us that there is a higher need for equitable resources in this community. And Billy will tell us more about the Food for Kids program.
So as I mentioned a moment ago, Food for Kids is one of our direct service programs. All right, so this Food for Kids has 2 different branches. We've got our Kids Kitchen, which is providing after-school meals to students who are enrolled in that given program. And then we have school-based pantries. Our strategy with school-based pantries has been to develop strong working relationships with schools and teachers, site coordinators at CIS, HOPE liaisons, et cetera, who can most effectively meet the needs of the students and families in the larger school community. They are in the school, they know what the needs are, and they are able to resource the community. The goal with it is to develop a pantry that we fully stock with food, and a coordinator monitors it, make sure that the temperature is correct, safe to store food, either in the refrigerator or on a pantry, on shelves, sorry. And they make the food available to their community throughout the school year. Distribution models can vary greatly based on the school, the facilities that they have. If they have food storage, they are able to acquire pantry items and distribute them at any time. Or if they don't have a safe space to store food, then they will perhaps get a delivery of food and distribute it on the same day within a safe time frame. And yeah, the pandemic has really impacted the food distributions at a lot of schools. I think typically, historically, food was made available, and parents or caregivers or community members for that student could come to the school and pick up food. But now with the pandemic and limiting the amount to which people can enter the school sites, there have been a lot of after school distributions to parents and children. And yeah, they're primarily operated in elementary, middle, and high schools. So as I was referring to, there are two different branches of the Food for Kids program at the Food Depot, the main ones being the after school meals, which are reimbursed through Child Adult Care Food Program, CACFP, so that's where we get the funding for that one. And then school-based pantries, which provide more grocery items to students and families. All right, so in the first semester of this year, from September when we began to December 2021, we have reported 3,225 children, anyone under 18 years old, were resourced through the school-based pantries across our 13 locations. And 61,075 pounds of food was delivered to these 13 sites. Different types of food that we provide. If a site has cold storage, like a refrigerator or a freezer, we can bring fresh produce, dairy, meat, bread, eggs, etc. And then typically all sites have some non-perishable pantry space. So we provide shelf-stable items, cans of beans, chicken, rice, pasta, sauce, peanut butter, etc. And then here we have a little graph of the different types of food that we provide. Currently, 40 to 50% of the food that we're distributing is fruits and vegetables. And I'll just note that a lot of the fruit and vegetables are, we acquire them from different grocery stores, manufacturers, distributors, as I was mentioning earlier. And we have a whole volunteer team at the Food Depot who's going through and sorting this food, making sure it's safe for human consumption and still in good shape so that the person receiving it feels dignified in receiving it and is nourished by it. So 40 to 50% of this food is fruits and vegetables. For 20 to 40% is shelf-stable items. And then 20 to 30% of this food is protein. And as I referred to earlier, we've got a couple different models. So one being the choice pantry, where someone can come in, a student, their family, household members, etc., school staff can come in and select items that they would like. So a choice-based pantry. And then we also have pre-made box distributions, whereas the site coordinator will make different boxes or bags, put together an assortment of food and give that to the client, and typically makes the same box for everyone. We've seen that in the pandemic, this is the more common way to go, just because people can't come into the spaces as frequently. All righty, so Mary, can you tell us where we're at in this process?
Yes, so where we're going with Food for Kids in Rio River County and the vision for the grant. So we want to start by launching 2 more school-based pantries in a high school and an elementary school. And currently we are in contact with Espanola Valley High School for being one of the food pantry sites. And the school size has about 836 students, with the designated site coordinator being Marcela Maestas. She is a Hope liaison as well as a senior class counselor. So as the Hope liaison, she is responsible for the McKinney-Vento students. And these are students that are defined as being homeless or unaccompanied. There are currently 35 of them at EVHS. And so this program would be intended to directly help those students, but also be open to the student body, the staff, and their families. The elementary is still being determined, but with the help of Janelle Lujan, who is the district coordinator in Espanola, we will soon be able to start the process of establishing a pantry within one of the elementary schools. And some things to consider when establishing a school-based pantry at these sites would be who could be a potential site coordinator for the site, and is there proper storage for food items to be held on site, or would there have to be like a process to distribute the food without violating any of the food safety concerns? And 100% of this funding from this grant will be used for food. So the coordinators will have access to a certain amount of credits each month when ordering from the offerings list, and this will help, or this will stock their food pantries and food distributions for the students. And our initial site to Espanola Valley High School was done by Billy and I on January 25th, and we were able to meet Marcella in person. We discussed the plan for food storage in her space, and luckily she had received a new working refrigerator that will be able to hold the perishable food, which is pictured right there, as well as a non-perishable storage, but that part needs to be cleaned. So the janitorial supplies that you see there would have to be moved, and the shelves would have to be sanitized. On the site visit, we also found concerns with the space not being able to be temperature controlled. This would cause major issues for our non-perishable items, and that can spoil, that would be able to become spoiled when not stored at food safe temperatures. So we had to discuss the plan for that. But then we were also able to determine a delivery location that would be accessible for the driver and the semi truck to make their weekly deliveries. The last thing we did on the site was to go over the program overview with Marcella. This included rules and expectations for the school-based pantries, the process of reporting temperature logs, tracking distributed food, and the ordering and delivery process. So while we were going over the program overview with Marcella, we discussed important dates and goals for this semester. So February 16th would be the goal for the first delivery, and February 18th is the goal for the first distribution. March 14th and 18th would be their spring break, so there would need to be a distribution plan for families and students to have food during that week. May 27th is their graduation, which would mean many students would not be able to, or would not come back to campus. And June 3rd is the official last day of school. The anticipated service at Espanola Valley High School would be for 13 weeks that would serve 130 households. And so what's to come? Well, we are still waiting for resolutions regarding the arrangement and sanitizing of the non-perishable food storage at the high school and the repairing of their heating and cooling system, as well as waiting information about our potential elementary school site. Once we are able to officially launch our programs at school-based pantries in Espanola Valley High School and an elementary school, we will start to establish a strong foundation for school-based pantries in Rio Grande County to continue beyond the term of this grant, which will then further codify the program and develop training to expand into more schools within the county. This will help expand equitable resources into another region the Food Depot serves. Oh, do you have any questions for Billy or I?
I have a question. How do the families get enrolled? So like at Espanola Valley, how are the families going to be enrolled in the program or whatever?
So from my understanding that there is not really a need for documentation or anything like that. It's very much open to anybody who drops in, and they would just have to check in with the site coordinator, who would be Marcella. And all we ask is how many households they're picking up and how many adults and children are in those households.
Yeah, I'll piggyback on that. Just to say that because this is a privately funded program, we don't have to adhere to some of the application requirements of a commodity food distribution, which is funded by USDA, and therefore their income qualifications. So the Food Depot really works with the site coordinators and will continue to work with Marcella to ensure that they have enough funding to get anybody food that wants it or needs it within the school's community, and take out as many barriers for applying for it as possible. And so she's working as the Hope liaison. She's working with the McKinney-Vento students. But we have also encouraged Marcella to open it up to anybody, to make sure it's publicly advertised within the school's community, so that nobody has to apply. And other than asking them information about the household demographic, size, and ages, which is helpful for additional grants, we don't need to know any information other than that. Great question.
That's awesome. Yeah, I really appreciate what you all are doing, because I think making it as accessible as possible and making it less hurdles to jump through and stuff. I think that's very important. Thank you.
Any questions from the audience? You're welcome to unmute or drop them in the chat too.
Robert and Mary and Billy, I have a question here. It's Lori with PNM. So when your clients come in, do you also tell them about other services available, like the PNM Good Neighbor Fund for help paying their electric bill, or different opportunities like that when you have them? Thank you.
That's another really great question. And I see that we have our navigator from the team on the call. We let the site coordinators at each of the schools know about some of our other resources. We have information for our navigation department, which can help navigate people and connect people to additional resources. But from what I understand, and maybe Lena will be touching on this in her presentation as a communities and schools site coordinator, there are wraparound services that are provided. And that's one of the positives of working with the site coordinator at that school. We're just providing the food, and then they're working to make sure that that student, that family, has additional resources that they need, that they know that they can get rental assistance or help with their electricity bills, any additional resources, tutoring. But again, Lena will be the master to help describe that a little bit more. But we do also send out flyers and notices when we have food distributions or community resources that we know are available. We let people know.
I realize that it's like 9:30 and we have to move on to our next speaker. But I wanted to ask y'all our last question, which is, what can our community do for y'all today?
Just thank you again for this opportunity and from the support from the team, everyone at the Food Depot, and especially Billy. Everything you guys have done for us is so much, and just giving me this opportunity to be a Next Gen recipient has been more than enough. So thank you again, everyone.
Awesome, thank you. And if you could, Mary and Billy, if you could just leave your contact information in the chat, that would be super helpful for anyone that wants to engage after Impacting Coffee today. And then, yes, this slide. All right. But please give a warm applause, or a really warm applause for Mary and for Billy from the Food Depot today virtually. Thank you so much again for being here today. Michael, I'm going to pass it to you to introduce our next guest, and we will go from there.
All All right. Thank you again, Mary and Billy. We appreciate all your work that you're doing over at the Food Depot and helping increase access to food for all the food insecure people in those areas. So we really appreciate all of your hard work. So this is going to be a nice transition. We're going to transition over to Lena Chavez, who works in community schools, and she's kind of going to build upon what we've heard from the Food Depot. So we're very excited that you're here today, Lena. So go ahead and take it away.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. First of all, thank you for being here and thank you for having us here. I'll be sharing my presentation as well. Or actually, I don't think I have the option to share my screen.
Let's see if we can get you that real quick.
But yeah, I mean, meanwhile, I can explain. My name is Lena Chavez. I'm a site coordinator with community schools, and I'm currently a site coordinator at Nina Otero working with middle school. And so right now I work with middle school, and there's another site coordinator that works with elementary school. And basically what Communities in Schools is it's a nonprofit program that sets a site coordinator in each of the schools in Santa Fe, which I believe right now we have around 15. And basically us as site coordinators, our job is to provide basically any kind of support that the students and their families might need. Like Billy mentioned a while ago, these supports range from needing tutoring, needing clothing, needing supplies, school supplies, needing hygiene supplies, needing food. And sometimes it even extends to like needing help paying their rent or finding somewhere to stay. Depending on what the family situation is, our goal is to make it so that students are able to be students and not have to worry about what's going on at home or, worry about what they're going to eat tomorrow, so that they can fully focus on school and graduate. And we try to work, like I said, all around. We work with students, we work with families, depending on where those needs are required. And then based on what we can provide, it also depends on, what connections we have. Sometimes we are able to provide what they need, but there's times when maybe we don't have enough funds to pay for their full rent bill or their utility bill. And that's when we do reach out to community partners and connect them. So either send them the information or establish that connection, call the community partner, let them know, hey, this is the case and this is what the family is currently needing. And then from there on, kind of help with the whole system of either filling out applications or calling people, calling resources, and establishing that connection. That also happens with groups, such as, sometimes here at school, we need groups for counseling, or we need girls group, boys groups, sports. We do the same thing and bringing in those groups to the school. That way students have access to them while they're in here in class. So yeah, we have programs like Grows Inc. Some schools have Grows on the Run. We also work with other programs such as the master's program, which is high school students that are currently in college. Well, they're currently taking college courses and they're able to come here in school and mentor our kids, work with our kids, and they also get the experience of, being in the school as well, but not necessarily as students. So we try to bring a lot of supports into the school, but then also try to work with our community partners so that everyone is being benefited and also, get the most out of every support that can be available. And one of our community partners being the Food Depot, who have been able to provide groceries for us to do our food distributions, which takes place at least for us, it takes place every Friday. But I know every school has different times, different deliveries. And so, yeah, and I do have a quick video.
And you should have access to share your screen now. You should.
Okay. Section settings. I have participants, chat, live transcription, reactions, settings, but I don't have the option to share though.
You click on the three little dots that say more. Does it give you the option over there?
No, it just stopped. No, it just says stop incoming video. I don't have the option to share.
Is the video a YouTube video or?
It's on our website, actually.
Okay, if you want to drop it in the chat and then I can share my screen and we can play it that way.
Okay. 1 second. Okay, just added it to the chat, and this is a quick video that explains from site coordinators as well. We get some student input, and then we also hear from our director what communities and schools is a little more from their side, and then after that I'll explain a little bit more as well.
I'm not seeing it in the chat. I don't know if you might have sent it. There it is. Share my screen. Sound.
We build a bridge between the larger community into the school to support kids. We are there to understand their circumstances, mitigate the barriers and obstacles that they face, and make sure that they have the tools, the confidence to move forward in their lives and thrive. Often it starts with the basic needs: food, clothing, school supplies. Our site coordinators are a remarkable group of dedicated, passionate individuals who bring a lot of experience in social work and youth development to their positions.
It's just being able to greet them and see them and have something consistent for them, which is me being here and showing up at the same time. I like to view myself as an adult friend that they can have in the school, and I can still guide them in ways that maybe a teacher couldn't, or maybe in other ways that admin may not.
Teachers, leadership, others within the school know that there is this dedicated person that they can send a student to who will really look at the unique needs and strengths of that child. They have the capacity to develop strong personal connection with students, and that's really fundamental to the success of our work.
I had just came out of a family death, and I was not in the mood for school at all. I hated school. I hated being in school. I hated everything about school. At first, I was like, I'm not gonna come to this guy, you know? I'm not gonna ask him for help. I don't need anybody's help. I'm just gonna quit this school and be done. But no, you do need a school, you do need a life, and you can achieve that, you know? He was there when no one else was there. He was there constantly. He helped me through a lot of things that I didn't know I needed help with. It feels like a brother. Like, he feels like no matter what I'm going through, he's gonna be there, you know?
And in a pandemic and a crisis, you do your best. And the first order of business was we developed a family strengths and needs assessment. Coordinators got on the phone, texted, and reached out to as many of their students and families as they possibly could.
I was delivering groceries too all through the pandemic. I would pull up into their house and they would already be waiting for me outside or, you know, through the window, knocking and wanting to give me a hug. But it felt to me like I was family.
Thank you so much for helping me and my family. Thank you.
I was seeing them once a week compared to the teachers that they were only seeing remotely.
It really was the relationships that our coordinators had already established with students and families that made it possible for us to continue to really provide support and ensure that stability. This is not a one-size-fits-all, one-step approach to mitigating barriers and challenges that are largely brought about by poverty. We need to create better systems that meet people where they are, celebrate who they are, validate who they are and create space for them to be at the table, making decisions for themselves and their families and their future well-being. We play a small part in that larger work that many people in this community and across the country are working hard to address.
Yeah, and so like the video, like you guys were able to see in the video, the help that the Food Depot provides, with that help during the pandemic, we were able to deliver those grocery bags to families, and it wasn't them just picking it up; it was us driving to their homes, and like yes, he said, we were able to see the kids, see the families, check up on them, see what they needed. Sometimes parents just needed someone to talk to, someone to like, hey, this has been going on and it's been harder. This went on and this was good, and it was nice to build those connections with the students and with the parents. And we were able to do that because we were receiving these groceries from the Food Depot and then being able to deliver it to them. And now that we're back in school, the way that we've been doing it is we make bags, we receive the groceries, we make bags, and then now because parents can't come into school, we usually have them out up front, and at the end of the semester, students will take a bag and then take it home. And that's what we've been doing every week since school started. So students have that consistent food supply. And then even throughout the week, if they do end up needing extra groceries during the week, we have a small pantry here that, if that need comes up, we're able to provide those bags and make those bags and send them home. And then, yeah, it's pretty much what we do. We, as site coordinators, at least, we're here located in the schools, so we're always present. We have those supplies for them, and if we don't, we're able to, if we can, go and buy whatever we need or buy and get whatever the students need. And same thing with parents. We try to keep that connection with the parents as well, keep them updated, let them know of what groups are taking place, let them know of how their kids are doing, or what supports we have for them. And I think it's a lot about building connections. And then additionally, I know for the after school program, we also help, at least in that sense, we've been able to also help with handing out the food that the Food Depot gives out to. Usually we stay after school, they call us the lunch ladies after school. And we're able to like have the big cooler, and then kids come in and welcome them like, hey, how's school today? Here's a bag. And they're always like, hey, what's for today? And you're able to tell them, hey, it's this and that, and kind of also build those connections, and also they feel comfortable enough to grab food and have that extra meal for after school. And yeah, I think that's it. If anyone, I had a couple pictures to show, but that didn't, yeah. Thank you.
Cool, thank you, Lena. Let's see, so if anybody in the audience has any questions, feel free to unmute yourselves, or you can type it in the chat. But in the meantime, I kind of have two questions. How long have you all been around, and where do you see your organization in like 5 years from now? How do you see it growing?
I've actually just been here. I personally have been here for 1 year, a year and a month, I believe. But I know the program itself has been around for 12 or 13 years, I believe, including this year. And I can already see, regarding the question of where it is, I think something that they've been really trying to do is expand to other counties. I know Santa Fe, we're settled. Maybe some schools still need another site coordinator because the school population is growing. But I think the goal is to really strengthen the schools that we have right now, make it so that they're solid, and then expand as much as we can, or expand to other schools around other counties. I believe now we have one school in Espanola, and I believe the goal is to hopefully be able to serve in a couple more.
Awesome, that's great. You've been around for a while, or the organization has been around for a while, so that's awesome that you've got some traction and a nice solid foundation to kind of move on. So that's awesome. Thank you for that. Let's see, any other questions from the audience?
I have one, Michael. Lena, I know, just like watching the video and just knowing like just hearing some of those stories. Could you talk a little bit more about how you've had to overcome some of the challenges of the pandemic with students in schools, and just share any stories you have about it?
Yeah, I have a couple from when it was online school and then back from online. So when I was online school, I think it was a lot more difficult to establish those connections with students. Yeah, we wouldn't deliver groceries to all of them. So we weren't necessarily able to see all of them. So, when we would set those meetings up, like, hey, let's meet up in a Google Meet, it was hard to encourage them to have that camera on and even interact enough. Most of them, they would join, but to actually get them to talk to you and just let me know how you're doing, let me know what's going on. It was a lot of yes, no. So it was hard building those relationships and being able to connect with them and truly knowing what they were going to, if there was anything that they really do need help with, just because it was so easy for them to turn off their computer, turn off their camera and not really interact and kind of build that wall. And then internet was a big issue too. It was always like, hey, the internet doesn't work here, my internet doesn't work. So I was always reaching out to kids and like, hey, how can I help you with internet, or what can we do to help you either get a new computer, get a new hotspot, or I think it was just, building those connections with kids by not being able to see them, not being able to, hey, here's a snack, and have a little chit chat with them, or hey, see them on the hallway and be able to like, hey, how was your day? How was your game? I saw that yesterday was your birthday. How was that? And when we were doing online, you couldn't have those. It was easy for them to just sit back and, be in their safe space, which maybe wasn't necessarily talking to you and having their camera on. And I think when it came back to being in person, we could see kind of that behavior from being always online and being hidden behind the camera that, they wouldn't, it was hard to reestablish that connection and come back to how it was before. And then a lot of them had struggled when they were in the pandemic. A lot of them had to take care of their siblings, maybe they were the oldest ones, and maybe they were the only kids and nobody was with them when they were online. So being able to, again, to get them out of those habits and get them used to being in school again. I know for some kids, it was, I guess, the social emotional level of it, they would be here and they would be overwhelmed with being with so many kids around them again. So they would have to come in here and just be like, hey, miss, can I just sit here for a while? I need a breather. Or sometimes teachers would be like, hey, can you come and check in on the student? Students would have, they would need that extra time to just be away from so many people at once, or they wouldn't feel safe being around all the students at once too. A lot of them would ask, like, hey, can I have hand sanitizer? Or they would constantly be like, hey, can I have another mask? Or, they're not keeping their distance. I think a lot of them kind of had that, were scared, especially because of the whole COVID idea. They didn't feel safe being at school with COVID. And then the other aspect of them not being comfortable being around that many people, not being used to being around that many people. So having to need that extra safe, quiet space for them to be away from as many people as they're in when they're in school versus when they're at home online.
Excellent, thank you. Do you all provide services in Spanish as well, or are you mostly an English program?
Yeah, so I think most, if not all, site coordinators are actually bilingual. And so we do work with parents who speak Spanish, and then when we do have kids that are bilingual or are working on their English, we do get them Spanish tutors, or if we have to be the tutors, we sometimes step in and be that Spanish person who can help them. But I believe we are bilingual, if that's the question. And we try to include we try to bring in volunteers or whoever we can that's also bilingual, so our students are able to feel comfortable speaking their own language and also learning English at the same time and having that safe space to learn. And it also helps communicating with parents. I know a lot of the times for them, it's hard to find someone that speaks Spanish and be able to tell them everything and kind of advocate for them. So us being able to speak Spanish with the parents and then being able to give the information to whoever they need to, whether it be the principal, the teacher, or be that middle person really helps as well for them.
Awesome. Let's see, are there any questions from the audience? Let's see. So what is one of the changes that you made during the pandemic that you feel really has like longevity and lasting powers as far as your programming goes, and something that you're proud to have achieved over the past couple of years?
Like I said, I've only been here a year, and when I started, we were already online. My first couple months were online, and then I was able to do it in person. But I think communication definitely got a lot more better when it comes to reaching out to parents. Before it was, because a lot of our families are working families, and so finding a time when they can get out of work or ask for a day off to come and meet with us or the teachers or someone. Before it was hard, just because, like I said, they're working families, and sometimes that's not something that they're able to do. And so being able to use these platforms like Google Meets and Zoom really helps in being able to have that connection with parents without them having to necessarily leave work and then have to ask for a day off. And also, I think communication overall strengthened, just because it was always like, hey, let me give you a phone call, let me send you a text message. We became a lot better when it came to keeping them updated without having it to be in person. So being able to establish those connections without necessarily having to see each other or be in person, and still being able to build it and keep that communication going, like I said, not just us, but then also admin and staff, and having those meetings that were essential for the kids, but maybe sometimes would have had to be really delayed, just because not everyone can ask for a day off and just get it instantly. And now we can just, okay, just 1 hour. That's all we need, 1 hour to meet up real quick, and it happens. I think with the kids too, they got the hang of the computers and how to do this and how to do that. So now, once like snow days happen or anything, we're able to jump online, and it's not like they're missing too much class.
That's awesome. Thank you. Yeah. The thing that kind of sparked that in my mind was the girl in the video is saying, yeah, these kids that I work with, I see them once a week. They don't even see their teachers in person once a week. And so I felt like that was a very impactful connection that you all created with the kids. So great work. Let's see. Any other questions from the audience? All right, so with just a couple minutes left to go, I'll ask you our final question that we always ask of our presenters, and that's, what can we do for you?
That's a good question. That's a very good question. I think I think this all varies depending on the school. Every school has different needs. Every school has a different population, different kids who they're working with. They're all similar in what way, but the needs do vary depending. I think maybe spreading the word more about communities in schools, that's what at least, letting parents know that we're here, especially now that we can't really see them when they come in and pick up groceries, or we can't really see them. Usually the only time we see them is at dismissal. And that's if we're able to go out to dismissal. Usually we're out handing out lunches for the after school kids. So letting parents know that these supports are available, that even if we can't provide it, that we are always able to connect you to somewhere, connect you with someone, connect you to another community partner. Just spreading the word to that, communities and schools is out there. And we have the resources, and we just, we're here to support our families and our kids in whatever way we can.
Thank you so much for that. All right, so I really want to thank all of our presenters for today, Mary, Billy, and Lena, for joining us and sharing all the great things that you guys are doing for our community and helping, especially helping people who are food insecure have access to food. We really appreciate everything that you're doing in our communities. And we also really appreciate the time that you took to join our conversation today. So again, thank you so much. One more round of applause for our presenters for all of that. All right, so let's see. Our next Impacting Coffee will be on February 15th. We're going to hear from Amy Whitfield, who is the Executive Director of the Office of the African American Affairs. So as you know, February is Black History Month, so Impacting Coffee, of course, we're going to do something with that. So I would say if you are able to join us next Tuesday from 9 to 10, please do. It'll be great to hear from her. Yeah. And let's see, I guess that kind of sums it up for today. Robert, do you have anything to add?
No, I just want to say how grateful I am for folks who showed up today and for our presenters for sharing their information. And we thank you so much for all of your hard work in communities and with our kids. So with that, I think we can.
And of course, congratulations to Mary for your Next Gen In award. That's awesome. And thank you for P&M for being here to present that and tell us a little bit about what you all do.
Cool. I think that's it, y'all. So yeah, so have a really great Tuesday. Have a really great rest of your week. And we will see you next week for Impact and Coffee. And may all your lights be green. Thanks, y'all. Take care.